Sometimes when we're stuck at home, we need movies to watch, and other times we want to sit and binge long-form content. Today, I'm giving you guys 5 originals on Netflix that you guys can binge right now. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. If you guys are enjoying this series of what to watch on Netflix, please let me know what genre I should focus on next, whether it be movies or TV shows, and what other videos you'd like to see. And if you enjoy this, be sure to smash that thumbs up button. I would love to do more. And I have done something similar to this last year. I did 5 shows to watch on Netflix. Those shows were Umbrella Academy, Kingdom, Castlevania, American Vandal, and Mindhunter. So if you want to check that video out, it is right above my head. But today, I'm giving you 5 more shows, and not that I'm focusing solely on what it means to binge a show, but these are shows that I found myself binging through pretty easily because they're either easy to soak in or you get so invested in the characters. Some of the shows we're going to talk about have multiple seasons, so you're going to have to take days, and other shows, a couple of episodes, and you're done. They're limited series, but I'm excited to talk about all of these, and of course, if you guys have a recommendation to shows that I left off, such as like a Stranger Things, this like too obvious for me, even though other shows I'm talking about are obvious. Alright, I'm gonna shut up. Let's get into it. The first show we're talking about is probably the most obvious one, but I have still encountered people who haven't watched The Haunting of Hill House. I believe to be the best horror show I have ever watched, and I mean the craft on display here is ridiculous, and everything about the way that Mike Flanagan directed these 10 episodes, each episode clocking in around 50 minutes apiece, was spectacular. The camera movement, the way that he displays horror, not necessarily through jump scares. Now, the jump scares are there, and when I say they are there, I mean I encountered possibly the best jump scare I have ever encountered in a movie or show. Now, that seems like an exaggeration, but when you guys get to it, it's in the latter half of the episodes. It involves a conversation between 2 female characters. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil the situation. You will come back and say, Austin, you were right, because it got me. Everyone that I've watched this show with 3 different times, it has got them. But that's the level of horror-esque craft on display here by Mike Flanagan. If you guys don't recognize the name, he's a very famous horror director known for his movies, but he brings that to these 10 episodes. That revolves around this family who grew up in this house that made their mother go insane, caused crazy things to happen to all of the children, and finally, when it is calling for them, they have to go back and make things right. I love the actors involved here. You have Henry Thomas, you have Oliver Jackson Cohen, who recently starred in The Invisible Man as the Invisible Man, so not much screen time, but it's just a phenomenal cast. It is phenomenal on a technical level, and it's a show unlike any other show that you will watch on Netflix. So if you love horror, it is the perfect show to binge. Next up is Richard Madden's Bodyguard. Only 6 episodes within this show. It's a very easy binge. I recently got my parents to go and watch this for the first time because they were asking me, Austin, what's a really good show to binge? I'm like, watch my video coming out. But I gave them the recommendation of Bodyguard, and they called me afterwards. Binged it all in one day. Didn't expect that to happen. And they said they absolutely loved it. And Richard Madden is a guy who is worthy of being the headliner of his own show. We know him from Game of Thrones. We know him from the upcoming movie in Eternals. Can't wait to see what he does in blockbuster movie form. But this show is absolutely thrilling. It's subtle in nature, but there are certain moments that have you completely on edge. It's all about this bodyguard who is assigned to protect this powerful home secretary, and the funny thing is that his character despises the way that she goes about her politics, but he finds himself suddenly torn between his duty and his beliefs and the responsibility for her safety, and he will do whatever it takes to keep her safe, but also whatever it takes to do what is right. So there's the confliction within the beliefs. It is such a thrilling show. There are multiple moments that will have you just scared to death for the lives of these characters that we found ourselves way more invested in than we thought at the beginning of the show. It feels like a movie, a long movie because it's 6 hours of television, but you are just scared to death for the lives of these characters that we find ourselves way more invested in than we anticipated at the beginning, and that has to do with the phenomenal acting and just the tension being built in this show. If you want a good thriller to binge, not a horror thriller, but a dramatic thriller with action and crime aspects, Bodyguard is the show for you, and the cast is unbelievable. Next up, we have 16 episodes. Each episode is around 20 minutes long. It is the perfect show to binge if you love shorter form, comedic, and coming-of-age stories. This is the end of the effing world on Netflix. I never would have imagined myself gravitating towards this show as much as I actually did. It's a simple show. You have James, he's pretty sure he's a psychopath. You have Alyssa, she's the cool and kind of the moody girl in school. And the pair connect in the strangest way possible, a way that you would never imagine, and embark on this road trip in search of her actual father. And if you love coming of age, if you love relating to characters that maybe aren't the most relatable on the outside, and this off-kilter humor that you just don't encounter in other shows. See, the other coming of age show we're going to talk about has a very different style of humor. This is more grounded, but it's also more in the vein of what James's character is, and it's a bit aggressive. So if you're not in the mood for something aggressive, I mean, the show is called The End of the Effing World. This may not be the show for you, but if you love a good subtle and sarcastic and on-the-nose show like this, but one that treats its characters with respect and has 2 really solid seasons, I believe The End of the Effing World is a show for you. It is one of the easiest binges of all of the shows that we're talking about, and the characters are just spectacular. Next up is the other coming-of-age story, and that is On My Block, 3 seasons and only 28 episodes to watch so far. So 28 episodes, but each episode is short, 30 minutes apiece. It is such a simple show to binge, and yes, it's one more season than The End of the Effing World, but it does not feel like it's harder to binge. It's about 4 bright, street-savvy friends who navigate their way through high school, but they're also navigating their way through the gritty inner city of Los Angeles, and there is a lot of danger that is constantly in their way of finding each other and finding out who they are as an individual. Now, the comedy, and I mentioned this a bit earlier, is it's a bit different than what we're normally seeing. It's not that they break the fourth wall, but they're interacting in a way that kind of you would see in a Disney Channel show. Like, they're a bit over-exaggerated, and sometimes they're too wacky, and they'll do things in public that don't make a lot of sense. But you get used to that, right? It took me about 3 or 4 episodes before I was like, is this just really cheesy, or am I having a great time? And it turned out I was having a phenomenal time, and by the time you get to episode 3, after encountering all of the stakes that you do, and no one is safe in this show, I'll tell you that much, you are invested, and the ending to season 3, let me tell you, was one of the most emotional experiences I have had all year. It was a great season of television, and it only gets better as it goes. On My Block is a show that not enough people watch, and I believe it's one of the best shows on Netflix. Next up, 5 seasons, but only 6 episodes a season. So it's a bit more of a lengthy binge if you want to get invested and have a long run. And we're not done yet because there are a few more seasons that are coming our way. This is Peaky Blinders. Now, you're going to say, Austin, this is a Netflix Originals video. Is that a Netflix original? Well, not in certain other territories, but it is a Netflix original in the United States. So if you're living in the U.S., this is on Netflix, and it is a Netflix original. If you're not in the U.S., I believe it's the BBC that showcases this show regardless. Peaky Blinders is amazing. It is the perfect period piece, I believe, to watch and experience. And that's what it feels like. It feels like when I watch There Will Be Blood. You're in that time, and it's capturing that time in just the best way. This is a gangster family epic that is set in 1919, and it's centered on a gang in England and their fierce boss and Thomas Shelby, who is played by Cillian Murphy. Now, it's not just Cillian Murphy in this show. You have Tom Hardy popping up. You have star left and star right, and the cast is one of the best casts, I believe, of any show ever. It's that good, and everyone portrays their character perfectly, and it just gets so much more complex as you go along, and this person's against this person, but then that person comes in and stirs things up, and the entire time you're following Cillian Murphy's character. And Cillian Murphy is a guy who I've been constantly supporting in Hollywood. I'm like, this guy can do anything, but this is his best role. You get so deep with his character, and I love everything about the way that this show is filmed and made. You have Stephen Knight, one of the creators, and just such a good show. Peaky Blinders is everything you want a period piece epic to be. Now, if you don't like a show like that, then you're not going to love Peaky Blinders. But even if you don't like a show like that, I encourage everyone to give this show a chance. Watch Peaky Blinders. It is going to be worth your time. And those are 5 Netflix original shows that I expect you guys, this is homework, expect you guys to give them a chance. But no, I would love to see you, honestly, at least give one of these a chance if you haven't seen them. And let me know in the comments, which ones have you seen? Are you 5 for 5? Are you 3 for 5? I have watched all of them because I do this on my channel, but I would love to know. And like I said, recommendations. What should I talk about next? What shows and movies should I experience myself? I would love all of those things in the comments. And like I said, if you enjoy this video and you want to see more, be sure to smash that thumbs up button. It helps the channel out as well. You guys are the best, and I'll see you soon.